My name is Brandon Lee. I'm here with the Oregon Postgame show versus Utah on the Voice of College Football. All right, we got a instant classic here to talk about. The Ducks win a gritty battle versus Utah, obviously in an instant classic. Now, top stories tonight, in my opinion anyway. I guess now it is the morning after, unfortunately, seeing as they finished off at 2 a.m. my time. So took a little nap, woke up, down doing the stream. Top stories tonight include Bo Nix. He shows how tough he can really be, while Utah, their usually stellar Cam Rising, throws 3 interceptions. I think that is kind of what changed this game and made it so the Ducks could come out on top. All right. With that being said, let me go ahead and pop up my screen here. Boom. There it is. So, as we could see, first quarter, it was fairly even. Ducks scored a touchdown while Utah Utes only got a field goal. The Ducks were able to hold them. Their defense held Utah to only 3 points. It almost seemed like they were going to snuff them out. Second quarter comes around. Ducks score 10. And again, Utah wasn't able to convert a touchdown. Not until, of course, the third quarter, where Utah scored 14 unanswered points here. Well, the Ducks now scored 0. And then, of course, ending out the game with the Ducks a final 3 points, a field goal to win out the game. Before that, it was tied, and it felt like this game might go into overtime. Okay, let's move forward. One of my favorite statements here, actually on the ESPN, it actually says, Bo Nix started out this week as a hobbled spectator sitting on the sideline in the training room. That was kind of one of the big stories going into this game. He didn't necessarily get as many reps as he normally would in practice all week long. So the biggest question was, how is Bo Nix going to do? And how will he come out? Will he play? And will he be any good? Can he run? Can he jog? Is he going to pass? And we kind of got our answers last night. He ended up still hobbled at the beginning, of course, of the game. And you could tell right away he was not himself. He came out there throwing. I don't think he moved for the first half of the game more than 5 yards out of the pocket. It was actually kind of scary to see. I really was worried that they were going to take him out and put Ty Thompson in, which did happen, but we will get to that a little bit later. Trying to see if I can't get... No, this is going to be all ads. But yeah, I was going to try to see if I couldn't get one of them pulled up. You could tell every time he would go back to throw a pass, he looked like he was hurting. His passes did not have nearly enough power on them, at least in comparison to what they had in weeks past. That's actually where that one interception came from, as we could see up here. He did get an interception. Yeah, this was one of the interceptions that Cam Rising actually threw, which Bennett Williams had an absolute monster of a night. Now, this is a huge comeback for Bennett Williams, as he had a little bit of a rough time against Washington. So to have him come out and make a couple of just stellar plays, this is one of the guys that stepped up to make our defense feel stout this week against Utah. Okay. Yes. And of course, Bo Nix did throw his third interception of the year. No, not of the year. I'm sorry. He got sacked for the third time of the year. But he ended up throwing his interception here. And you could tell that pass right there. Let's replay that. Just didn't have enough on it. He went to throw, makes a great throw, but it just wasn't powerful enough. It wasn't fast enough. The defense could read it. His eyes from the beginning of this play. Watch his eyes. As he gets ready to make this throw, he telegraphs it. He looks there, and then he just kind of waits, that making for the cornerback there to be able to make that read very easily. He stares him down and throws the ball with not enough power. Unfortunately, that ends up in an interception for Utah going against Bo Nix. Now, I mentioned that he had a sack in this game, and it didn't feel like an actual sack to me. As I was watching it, I thought to myself, wow, I don't think this should go against him. But he basically got the ball. The Utah defense came around the edges and were starting to put pressure on him. When they put pressure on him, he tried to break free and essentially just tripped and fell. Now, it counts as a sack. He was in the pocket. There were people around him. I don't think anybody actually touched him, though. Maybe a hand, but it does count as a sack against him. He couldn't move. He tried running and just fell to the ground. There were a couple of other plays where Bo Nix would very clearly throw the ball into the ground. So that way, if Utah was pulling pressure, of course, so that way he didn't have to run. He was trying everything he could not to run. And you know what? I got to respect that at some level, because his passing being 25 of 37 is pretty awesome for him. Being injured, having not enough power, being 25 of 37, I think is very, very good. And I was impressed to see it. Now, this next one up here, I'm going to let that load through the ad real quick. And we will get to that one here in a second. This one here is Noah Sewell making an interception. And I'm not going to lie, this game swung back and forth so much. I really couldn't tell you who was going to win it. It was tied, in the third quarter? Yep. Fourth quarter as well, until we made that, of course, field goal to win out the game. But it just felt like this game could go either way. Either team could come out with a dub. And at the end of the day, I'm just happy the Ducks did it. But this is Noah Sewell's interception right here. If you look, that ball is actually tipped, and Noah Sewell, the way he celebrated at the end, that was good. I love to see him do really well. He's been a big story all year, last couple of years, a big player for Oregon. Here you go. Here's a better visual. Boom, gets tipped at the line by a Duck into another Duck's hands. Could not have gone any better. You can see the wobble there, and bam, Noah Sewell makes that interception. This felt like another instance where this game was going back and forth. The momentum could swing one way or another with ease. I mean, nobody really took over this game, although at the very beginning, before the first half, it did feel like the Ducks might run away with it. However, I don't know if I could find it. There was a play. I don't think they have it up here. The most unfortunate play of the night. Bo Nix first come out of the half. Bo Nix was sitting on the sideline. First play of the half. Let's see. Fumble return. There you go. Ty Thompson comes out as quarterback. We thought this might happen. Bo Nix was looking injured, but he did play. And he was on the sidelines looking like he wanted to go. I wasn't surprised to see Ty Thompson come in to give Bo a break. He's got an injured ankle. They don't want to aggravate it. At that point, the Ducks are up by, 10 points? 2 touchdowns? So it kind of made sense. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. So, yeah, Ty Thompson gets the ball. They try to run a little bit of trick play. Ty Thompson grabs it, goes back, tries to hand it off. The handoff was unsuccessful. Utah picks it up and scores a touchdown. Very, very unfortunate play. Ty Thompson was immediately taken out after that. But everybody was saying, why would they do that? Bo Nix looks like he's good to go. I have to imagine the coaches saw something in that locker room. Bo Nix was limping. He was not himself very clearly. So I am not necessarily super surprised that they tried to take him out. Now, the first drive of the second half, putting your backup quarterback in, I don't know that was the right time to do it. I would have possibly, I'm not an expert, but it might have made more sense to wait till maybe the second drive, the third drive, so on, or maybe even alternate them after that. But because of that drive, because of Utah being able to score a touchdown, it kept the game very close. And you can see they started to swing in their favor just a bit. And then, of course, we were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oregon scored that field goal here, and pretty much that's what clinched the game. Now, Cam Rising. Let's see. Can I get more information on him? Let's see. He played Not as good as he normally would. I was the announcers kept talking about how great he is, and I have no doubt that he's an absolutely awesome player. And to be honest, he was able to extend plays with his legs. He made passes when he had to. He made some incredible throws, but overall, it felt like he could not catch a break, getting 3 interceptions on the night. That was, I think, the biggest storyline there. That kind of messed up his confidence. When you start throwing interceptions left and right, that's going to make it difficult for you to go out and have the best game that you could possibly have. And I think we kind of should be thankful for that. He didn't necessarily play the best that he could, being 21 of 38. A hobbled Bo Nix was able to throw better than that, and of course, protect the ball better than that. So I think that says a lot about Bo Nix. And Cam Rising, unfortunately, did not have the best of games. Noah Whittington and Bucky Irving, they tried some trick plays as well. Bucky actually got a snap. So Bo Nix takes off left a little bit. The snap goes to Bucky Irving. And of course, it was sniffed out because when your running back gets the ball, what are you going to do? You're going to run it. So Utah sniffed it out real quick and was able to kind of put a stop to that. Now, it felt like the Ducks were trying to be creative in this, and they had to because Bo Nix could not run. And he's the number 3 running back on our team, or the third rusher on Oregon right now. And when you take that away, I was very curious to see coming into this game how we would be able to respond. It is good to see that we did have very good passing. I mean, Dante Thornton here made some incredible catches. I believe. No, they did not have that one. But Dante Thornton had 151 yards receiving today. That was absolutely incredible to watch him play. The way that he was able to catch it in stride. Bo Nix was able to get the ball to him, even down the field. There are multiple large passing plays, and that ultimately is what kept us in the game. Let's see. I was going to try and find that one, but nonetheless. Okay. So with that being said, it was a gritty, heartfelt game, and you could see it in Bo Nix's face multiple times, especially towards that fourth quarter. He was getting frustrated. He was getting very, very emotional in this game. He was playing the toughest that he possibly could, and somehow it still wasn't working at all times. There were a couple of drop passes. I think the one that comes to mind was the last play of the second half. Bo Nix tried to throw it. They tried to get a snap off, throw it real quick, and it was dropped, unfortunately. You could see him come out and tell the receiver, this is what you were supposed to do. You didn't do that. I got the ball there. You didn't run your route right. That's at least what it looked like from perspective of watching TV. Very emotional on the sideline as well. When he went into the half, you could still see him frustrated. You could see it on his face, very focused, very calm. Dan Lanning looked as though he was calming him at times, telling him to calm down, which, I got to imagine makes sense in that situation. You don't want your quarterback to get too emotional. He's not performing 100%. The people around him aren't necessarily doing bad, but they're not doing absolutely fantastic as well. Not like they would want to be. But I think Bo Nix at the end of the day was mostly mad at himself for not being able to throw the passes exactly where he wanted to be. So he was also mad when they wouldn't run the routes right, making it even harder. Okay. So this is one of those ones that I wanted to point out as well. There's a couple of articles that have already come out. It says here, number 12 Oregon stays in the Pac-12 hunt, tops number 10 Utah. That is something I think is still very much so alive for the Oregon Ducks, and I'm very excited about that. If we get one more game, we clinch and we go to the Pac-12 championship. I think that is absolutely awesome. We have an injured starting quarterback. We've been playing great football, but we lost to Washington, unfortunately. And this point in the season last year, this is where we just drop off. We still made it, of course, but getting beat by Utah twice last year, being able to overcome that in this game with an injured quarterback speaks to how much we have changed. We were the more physical team. And that is saying a lot because Utah is very big and very physical. That keeps us in the hunt, of course, for the Pac 12 championship. I will go ahead and go to the next page here because USC, where are they at? Perfect. There they are. Beat out UCLA. Barely. This felt like the week of the struggle win, as Fannie Mae might say. 48-45, USC beats UCLA. That means that all we have to do is get past Oregon State, who won their game as well. See if I can find them. Against Arizona State, who will hopefully go up a little bit more in the rankings, giving us another ranked win by the end of the season. Now, my question, where's Alex Forsyth? How injured is he? We also had our second string center go down in this game. Are we going to be banged up? I saw number 11. Oh, no. I completely forgot his name. Our receiver went down. One of our top receivers, period, went down as well. Now, I do believe he came back towards the end. I'm not sure if it was a super serious injury, but we're banged up. I need to know how are we who are we bringing in? If Bo Nix can get a little bit better and start to run, well, hang on one second. That must be at the top here then. Yeah, there it is. And there's that Bennett Williams interception. Sniffs out the play, and that's what was playing in the background. I do apologize, but awesome play. Helped change the momentum for us to gather that win. Now, moving forward, Oregon State. Getting past them is not going to be easy. We go to Reser Stadium and have to beat them at home. They're a good team this year, and we're banged up. This game against Utah definitely has us a little more banged up than when we went into it. If we can get Alex Forsyth back, if Bo Nix can be just a little bit better, a little bit, healed, not necessarily that he didn't play well, but if he could get healed up just a little bit more to where he might be able to run a play or two, I think that will help us beat out them. The final play in this Utah-Oregon game is one I was hoping that they would have. Let me see if I could find it in the breakdown here, the play-by-play. Bo Nix was throwing the ball. They were not getting very far. It came down. It was either a 3rd down and 2 or a 4th down and 2 or 3. It was not very much. The entire game, Bo Nix has not run or done really anything moving-wise. Every time he did, he would throw the ball away before they could get to him, before the pressure got to him, or he would just go down. But one of the final plays, he actually does a QB sneak straight up the middle because the entire game they've been leaving him wide open. They know he's not going to run it. He only gets 3 yards. He dives through that offensive line, through Utah's defensive line to get a 1st down and clinch the game. Oh, I was hoping I could find the exact play that it was. But this was huge. And you saw a couple of linemen come and lift Bo Nix up because he was very clearly not wanting to get up. He's hurting. He was feeling it at that point in this game. And it was actually very nice to see. It must have been very emotional knowing that he got that 1st down to clinch the game by running and doing everything he possibly could, showing that grit, showing that toughness being able to run through that line. Although he was not touched, he did get that first down and dove for it. So it was good to see. Okay, now back on to the future a little bit here. And this is going to be a little bit of a shorter live stream as I am by myself talking to myself. So I do apologize about that. Going to Oregon State. Take a look at them real quick. The Beavs. This one I'm a little worried about. We got a little bit more banged up in this game against Utah. So going against the Beavs at home with a banged up offense does worry me a little bit. The one thing I can say is our defense does travel. They do very well. And that is something that I think will save us in this particular game if our offense is banged up and cannot get the momentum swings that they normally do, or just run it up and down the field like there's nobody else there playing on the field, which is what they've done in most games except for Washington and Georgia, of course, when they were healthy. So defense travels. Noah Sewell comes up. I think Bennett Williams is on a high streak right now. We have all of our defense pretty much healthy and good to go. Feel free to let me know in the chat as well what you guys think. And will Alex Forsyth be back? How do you think Bo Nix will be? He was playing well today, but he couldn't run. So feel free to let me know in the comments as well. Oregon State, playing in their stadium. It's hard to predict on exactly how that will be. I like to think that we will go up there and stomp the Beavs like we always do, but they're better this year. And that is just not necessarily the reality that I think will be true. I think it's going to be a close game. If Bo Nix comes back to 100%, which I just very much so doubt, I think we thrash them. I think we go in there and we play better than they expect, and I don't think they can stop our offense. But with Bo Nix being a little bit banged up and not showing any signs of being able to run the ball in this game, I think it's going to be a similar story next week. So that'll come down to a close game, just like it did today. But they're still a ranked team, and we can get a ranked win on them, clinch what we need to clinch to get to the Pac-12 title, and then face off against USC, where hopefully we're able to heal up and be 100% or darn near close to it by the time we play them. So now let's go and take a look at what I call, I'm gonna kind of end this on a prediction for what the top 25 will be. We're going to look at some of the previous games, or not the previous games, but the other games that were played yesterday as well, because it was the week of the struggle win. That is very apparent. We had Georgia against Kentucky. Kentucky is not necessarily the best team this year. They played Georgia well, though. 16-6, Georgia tops them. Ohio State had a much closer game against Maryland than I expected. Now, Maryland has a great quarterback, so I wasn't surprised that they were able to pull off a couple of points, but I expected Ohio State to come out with more points and probably stop them just a little bit more than they did. One of the bigger stories that I was very shocked about, Michigan, Illinois. Fight on! Dang Trojan, I love it. I hope we get to see the Trojans here in the Pac-12 championship. I think that would be an absolutely awesome game, especially if we can be healthy. The fact of us being healthy, though, I don't know necessarily that we'll be 100% by the time if we get to play the Trojans, since I see your name has got dang Trojan in it. However, Michigan, I did not see this game being that close. This could have come down to literally one play could have changed this entire game. If they didn't make that field goal, they lose the game. Nope, I'm sorry. That was TCU. But one play still could have changed this game as well. TCU Baylor, 29-28. TCU making a field goal to win the game. That field goal misses, you lose the game. Their undefeated season gone. That would have been great for the Pac-12. I want to see any Pac-12 team make it. I hope it's the Ducks. But at the end of the day, if USC is going to make it and they end up beating us out, they still have to have TCU lose in order to have that chance at getting up there. Tennessee, South Carolina. Of course, now one upset, so not a struggle win. This was a struggle loss. Tennessee, 38 points. South Carolina, 63. I am not 100% sure, but I don't necessarily think that South Carolina has made. There you go. So they do score a pretty good amount of points, but even against teams like Kentucky, Texas A&M, Mizzou, where they scored 10, Vanderbilt, they've not scored this many points. 63 points is a season high for them against the 5th-ranked team in the country, a team that took down Alabama and stormed the field. That, to me, incredible, incredible game for South Carolina. That quarterback has to be on cloud 9. LSU, they won pretty handily, so we'll skip that. USC, UCLA. This game was close. I was very surprised. I thought USC was going to pull away in the fourth quarter, but UCLA just kept coming back, and that's another game that could have been determined by one play. I'm happy USC did win because now I'm not a USC fan. I'm a Ducks fan. Obviously, you can see in my background here. If USC makes it, they get to the Pac-12 championship, which I believe they've clinched now. I believe they have a berth in the Pac-12 championship at this point. Them being the highest rank possible is the best for the Pac-12 and the Ducks, because if we beat them in the Pac-12 championship game in the Rose Bowl, that's our best chance, of course, to make it as high up as we possibly can in the rankings. But if they beat us, at least they will be a high enough rank to then go out and maybe compete in that Pac-12 or in the national championship, the college football playoff, something along the lines of that, which would be great for them and the Pac-12 as a whole. Alabama, 34-0, not surprised. Miami and Clemson play 40-10. Clemson wins. This one had me a little bit surprised. I was hoping that Miami would play Clemson a little bit better. Mario Cristobal has had one heck of a year, former Oregon Ducks coach. I didn't necessarily wish him the best at the end of the year. I was a little bit mad that he did leave the way he left, especially letting us lose to Utah twice in a row without making any adjustments. But I did not necessarily want to see him lose this bad this season. I didn't want him to have a great season. I'm sorry if that's unfortunate to say, but it's true. But I did not want him to bum out this bad. There's our game there. Penn State blew out Rutgers. Georgia Tech beat North Carolina. That'll have huge Heisman impact as the quarterback for North Carolina, I believe, was still in the running. Maybe not necessarily a top, but he was in the running and doing very well on his way to possibly even get an appearance. Washington, Colorado, 54-7. Now, that's what we want to see. If we're going to lose to a team, they better come out the next week and destroy whoever they play. Unfortunately, it was to Colorado, so Washington probably won't move up a ton, but they will move up a little bit. Now, this is a big one. This has pretty good Pac-12 implications as well. Notre Dame, Boston College. Boston College isn't the best team in the world, but they beat them 44-0. Shut out and blowout. That's going to be pretty big. USC plays them the next game. That's not necessarily a Notre Dame team that I want to play. So USC, if they lose to Notre Dame will basically just be messing up the Pac-12's chances to get in. If USC comes out and beats Notre Dame, then, of course, that will look great for USC. That will hopefully boost them up. There it is. That'll hopefully boost them up a little bit higher in the rankings. And when we play against USC, if we knock out Oregon State next, then, of course, that will be huge. That'll be a huge victory for USC if they get that win. But that Notre Dame team is on a hot streak right now, and that's going to be a difficult win. Oregon State, Arizona, we already touched on that. North Carolina goes down to Louisville, proving even a little bit more that the ACC is struggling to win most of their games, it feels like. There are a couple teams doing well, but overall fairly inconsistent. All right. Noah Whittington getting, oh, there it is. Troy Franklin, number 11, went down a little bit there. Found what was making the unfortunate audio in there. But Troy Franklin had a great game. Did go down a little bit. Was a little bit banged up by the end of it. Not what you want to see if you're a Duck fan, because he's our number one receiver, one of Bo Nix's favorite targets. Okay, with that being said, I got nothing really in the comments here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the top 25 predictions for next week. We had a lot of things happen. So after looking at all the games, seeing what the predictions are, of course, seeing where we're going to end up also is something that is kind of fun to look at. CBS Sports posts, in defeating Utah, the Ducks seem certain to jump into the top 10. But what's the ceiling? Look for Oregon to be as high as number 8, but our official prediction is Dan Lanning's crew will take the Utes' spot at number 10. I think we end up, I agree with them as far as ranking us in the top 10. I think we're going to be higher. I would like to see us go up to number 8, but that does have us jumping some other teams, which would be a little bit rough to say that we might hop over a couple of teams here. I think that Tennessee's out. This is number 2 loss for them. They've not looked as they got blown out. I mean, that blowout was just rough. So I have to imagine our losses to 2 ranked teams has to look better than Tennessee's. I think Tennessee gets bumped down here, and we at least go as high as number 9. Tennessee's loss was ugly. That was rough. They fell apart. So my hopes are that way can pop up a little bit into the top 10 and not necessarily just number 10. Who else? I don't think there's going to be much movement beyond that. I think I think they nailed it right here as well. Georgia, number 1, Ohio State, number 2, Michigan, number 3, TCU, number 4. I think that's pretty confident there. USC. So the one thing I think that'll be difficult to look at is next week if USC takes down Notre Dame. TCU, I think that'll be they have an argument to hop over number 4 TCU, but TCU being undefeated, I doubt that will happen. TCU has to lose for any hope of USC getting into the top 4. Okay. With that being said, everybody, sorry about the short stream. Talking to myself is a little bit more difficult without the conversation, of course. If you guys have anything to post, any questions, any answers, any comments, any thoughts, feel free to post them now. I'll go ahead and throw them up on screen here, and we can discuss them. Oh, they think the Huskies are going to go up to 12. That would look good. Our 2 lost teams being in the top 15, I think would be absolutely amazing for showing how good we actually are. Because if the only teams we lost to are both in the top 15, I mean, that's a heck of a resume, especially if we come out and beat USC, if we take in the Rose Bowl, of course. Okay. You guys have a great rest of your day. This is the Voice of College Football. My first time doing a stream about college football by myself. So I apologize if maybe I didn't have as good of talking points, didn't have my numbers quite as on the spot as I would like. Sometimes you get a little nervous. You just talk right on through. But we discussed a lot. We went through a lot of things, and I think there's some really good college football to be played yet. I look forward to doing the post-game show for Oregon State next week, and hopefully we'll have more to talk about. Maybe even we get in the top 7. I don't know who will lose next week, but other than that, you guys have a great rest of your day, and it is time to end.